The tributes to Johnny Carson have been pouring in all day. He has touched the lives of so many people. Earlier today, Bob Wright, the chairman and CEO of NBC Universal, offered his condolences for the passing of a man he considered a friend. Mr. Wright wrote, "Johnny was a part of our NBC family for more than 30 years, long after his retirement in 1992, and he was a dear friend to both me and my wife, Suzanne." Mr. Wright also noted that Carson's professional and usually anonymous personal generosity launched the careers of countless stars and helped thousands of people. His death marks the passing of a show business legend and a man of warmth and sincerity. Also today, Johnny Carson's successor, Jay Leno, issued a statement saying that no single individual has had as great an impact on television as Johnny. He was the gold standard. Well, joining us now is a man who appeared many times on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, comedian Don Rickles. Don, good evening, and our condolences for the loss of your good friend today.
Well, thank you, Ann.
I know that you, I understand, saw Mr. Carson within the last 6 months. What do you want to say about how he was, how he looked?
Oh, it was great. He was great, Ann. My wife and I, Barbara, and Peter LaSalle and his wife Alice, we had dinner at a place called Goodnight in Malibu, and we were just delighted that he and his lovely wife came down to have dinner with us. And we started reminiscing and kidding around, and he was a good old Johnny. And that's the last time I saw him, rest his soul. And he was fun to be with. When he wasn't in a big crowd, he was a jewel. Big crowds, he'd get a little nervous.
But that's interesting to hear, especially since he spoke to millions every night. You have credited him with helping you make your career, basically. And there was one particular moment during one of your visits to The Tonight Show when Johnny throws you in a tub of water. Can you explain what happened that night?
Well, unbeknown to me, he was doing this sketch with these Japanese ladies, and they were giving him a massage with the pool alongside of it. And Freddie DeCavita, as I always kidded about, rest his soul, and Peter LaSalle said, he was the producer, said, "Don, why don't you go over there and do something?" So I just talked to him. So I went over and I talked to him, and he grabbed me and threw me into the pool, and I laughed, and I blew his suit for $40 million. But I forgave him.
Yeah, well, he actually, I think, gets up and pushes you in that tub of water. We're watching that video now.
Oh, are
you
you?
start to tickle him, and then he actually starts to move you in the water. As we play that video, you know, he once said, "I don't know what makes someone funny. I don't know what it is." What made Johnny Carson funny as we see you now completely wet in that pool of water, Don?
Well, Ann, I think his personality was something else. He was a low-key guy that came on, and his attitude, his facial expressions were marvelous. When I was on the show, he always left the space for me to look good. And he never followed the notes. When I'd come on, he'd say, "How's your mother?" And I'd say, "Well, it's none of your business. Leave it alone. Find a job," whatever. And we went from there. And it always turned out great. And even socially, he always had a wisecrack with me. And he was the kind of guy, if you gave him a hug, he was from the Midwest, the shoulders got a little tight because he wasn't used to that. But I broke him in. First thing you know, we were dancing together.
Well, there you're not buying curtains, however, together. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You know,
I'll do the funny thing.
Okay, all right. I won't even try. Tell me about what you think his legacy will be as a comedian. Many people, many very famous comedians say he really wrote the book.
Well, I think his legacy, for me and for many performers, I think his legacy will be that he had a style, a great deal of class, and he had a charm about him that's beyond belief. And I'm sure the kind of man he is, in heaven right now, he's looking down and saying, "Why are they making a fuss?" He was so embarrassed with something like this to talk about his death, I'm sure. And when I meet him, which will be someday, I'm going to straighten him out.
And what are you going to say to him, Don?
I'm going to say, "You got on my nerves, Johnny." The football game was on, and we had to do a memorial to you.
Aww.
But I loved him, and I miss him.
And what do you think? You know, you said that he is someone who is very, very modest, and I think that really came through the TV screen, that he really was deeply a shy person. I think that's one of the reasons why he was so endearing. But what is it that you think he would want us to say about him? In other words, we all want to leave some sort of legacy. Would he want us to celebrate his sense of humor at least?
Well, believe it or not, in my opinion, I think he would say, "Don't do that." I think he would like us to laugh and kid around about him. But I don't think he'd like us to be serious, saying he's gone and poor Johnny and he was sick and all. He wasn't that kind of guy. I think he just wanted God to put him where he's supposed to be, and that's it, and make God laugh for a while. But he certainly didn't want to fuss about him. And as I speak now, I just hope that somehow he hears me speak. And I know, Johnny, we all loved you, and wherever you are, you'll keep him going. But he was the last guy to say, "Hey, give me some accolades. He wasn't at all like that.
We had a reporter say tonight, I think, and rightly so, that we missed him even before he was gone. What will you miss about Johnny Carson, Don Rickles?
His soul, his caring for my wife and I, and his great spirit when I was on the show, and how he always made me look like a champion. He was something else. People in the business and the public used to say it was an event when I went on, because he himself made me look like beyond belief. And no one can replace that.
I'm certain that if he can hear you tonight, Don, he would be glad to hear you say such a good thing. Anyone would. Thank you so much, Don Rickles, tonight.
Thank you, and if I may say, may God be good to him.
And I agree. And you can hear more about the life and laughs of Johnny Carson later tonight on MSNBC. And coming up, a bittersweet memory, a fond farewell.
It only weighs about 8 or 10 pounds.
She weighs about 10 pounds.
I just said that. And it's a handful. I want to. Does she ever stop moving?
She's fairly active right now. She
No
sleeps a
kidding.
good part of the day.
He ruled the night for 30 years, and we've never forgotten. Tonight, we say goodbye to the late Johnny Carson, when Dateline continues.
Tomorrow on Today, Johnny Carson's longtime sidekick, Ed McMahon, will join others in a fond remembrance of the man who was the king of network comedy. And for more memories of Johnny, visit our website at todateline.msnbc.com. Now, you may remember earlier tonight Johnny Carson's last guest ever, Bette Midler, in a sad and sweet farewell performance to her friend and mentor. What better way to end our broadcast tonight? I'm Ann Curry. For all of us here at NBC News, good night, and good night, Johnny.